Street cred sports. Street cred sports. I'm crossing over. I'm Euro stepping.
Hello, this is Keenan of Street Cred Sports Training, and welcome to another episode of Time to Ball. Well, today is episode 63. This is going to be a special one because I'm going to have a guest. So this first part is going to be audio, and then the second part, when I do my interview, will be on Zoom. So, I made sure I brushed my teeth and combed my hair and all of that stuff, so your boy not looking like a vagrant. Not that there's nothing wrong with, a vagrant. I don't want nobody, hey, man, I don't like what you said about the vagrants, man. I'm not trying to do that. But in any case, I'm going to do this first part, go over some of the stuff a little, and then we'll get into the second part. So hope everybody's doing well. It's been really busy. It's been extremely busy, busier than what I want to be. And it's a good thing, but it's not just busy with new clients. It's all the other stuff that comes. So, but hey, that's my cross to bear when it comes to running my own business with training, and I accept it and I'm embracing it. So I'm not running from it. I'm just saying, man, it is getting crazy. So let me get into quickly some things on my mind because I want to make sure that I leave enough time for my guests to come on and talk. All right, so last week I was telling y'all about UFC. The UFC. My son and my wife were watching UFC. Man, they had a ball. And a lot of times as a parent and stuff, you enjoy other people enjoying things. It makes you enjoy it because they're enjoying it, and they were enjoying it. They were loud. I started to go and bang on the door and say, "Cut that noise down." But nah, they were enjoying it. So I mentioned that I didn't like UFC. I wasn't into it, and I watched like a segment of it, of one fight, and then I quickly remembered why. So I wanted to share with you why, I'm not into UFC. It's the floor battling. When, you have some that like to win by submission and grappling. So, they grab you and you're on the ground and they're trying to position you to get you a chokehold or, a arm bar, or, they pummel you to death on the floor. To other people, that's exciting. For me, I like the standing up. You get knocked out or you get a kick or something like that. So that has always been the thing, and I just realized it when I watched that fight and it was an exceptional fight. I don't know the fighters' names. They were both women. I believe they were of Japanese descent. I'm not sure, but one of them, she was getting choked out, and right as the bell rang, she was able to get through it. Nobody knew how, but she eventually lost, right? But she started, when they came back after that round, she was standing up and they were punching and stuff and, going at it like that. But then I'm going to hurry up and get you to the ground where I have an advantage. And I get that. That's part of the strategy. I'm just not like wanting to sit there and watch 2 to 3 minutes of two people on the ground, wrestling, right? So that's, and look, I'm not saying I hate it. I'm just saying that's kind of the part that doesn't excite me as much. So, I big ups, and I can appreciate it, but that's kind of where it is with what I'm doing. So, let me get to the next thing. Here's what I'll say about Draymond Green. All right, as you know, the Warriors lost to Sacramento in the play-in, so their season's over. Now, the thing that I have to talk about is Draymond Green. Draymond Green is responsible. He's accountable. You got to hold himself accountable. And I'm sure in his private moments, somebody's probably telling him. If nobody's telling him, if somebody's not looking him in the face and say, "Yo, you my boy, man, but you fucked up the season." This is the second time. Now, the first one with LeBron, I don't blame him because I think that they were trying to. I feel like they, didn't see what LeBron did, what he did first that precipitated it. And okay, all right, so you going to eject him, but then you're going to suspend him for the next. So he has to own that. He has. I don't blame him for as much for that one. But now when you have a history of doing these things, he missed I think 20 games, most for a suspension, 20 to 25 games or something like that. They were, yeah, I think they said they were 33-12 with him throughout the season, right? Now he might have missed a game due to injury and stuff, but his suspension is look, if he plays those other games, they're probably somewhere between 4 and 6, somewhere between 4 and 6 seed, right? They're not in the play-in tournament, so he's got to take that. Somebody's really got to sit me down and say, well, he's not responsible, K, and here's why, and show me. I'm not one of these guys that if I say I'm right, there's no way you can convince me that I'm wrong. I'll look at it, not no data stuff. I'll look at the whole thing, but from what I see, he's not there. If he's not there, and he's not there because he was injured, he did two things that caused that caused itself to be out. So he's responsible for that. And kind of glossing over it sometimes the way he talk, I'm not feeling that, man. You gotta be accountable, and you gotta stand up, because you can't make somebody else accountable for their actions if you don't turn around and become accountable for your actions. He should be saying, you know what, and not dance around it. Now, maybe he has said it. I haven't heard it to an extent. So if he has, Dre, I salute you. But I haven't heard him physically come out and say, of course, it takes a team, but I'm the primary reason that we were in the position we were, because I wasn't available to play. Not due to injury, but I messed up. Now going forward, if I'm an owner, man, I'm taking that in consideration, because you've had dozens of chances, and you've gotten worse as the years has gone by. As you've gotten older, you've gotten worse with it, and your skill set has declined. You don't give me anything offensively enough. Now, you do play great defense. You do all the other things, but you're not somebody that's trying to look to score. And because of that, that becomes a problem. That becomes a problem. If you look at it schematically, that becomes a problem. He's shown that he could shoot. You got to shoot more. You got to be averaging somewhere between 12 and 15 every game. Every game. You can't give me a 20, 22-point game, and then next game you don't even shoot. You don't even try to score. So that's got to be addressed. I mean, it's a business. And if I'm the owner of that team, I'm like, man, look, what can you tell me that's going to make me stay and stop with the whole 4 championships, and stuff? Because, yeah, we got that. We know that. That's the reason why I'm actually sitting at this table with you. That's the reason why I ain't shipped your butt off in the first place, is because of that. So let's not start with that. Start with what it is that's going to help me understand that you're going forward, because the first time that you mess up, you're out. I'm trading you if it's going to be a loss. That's the way I'm looking at it. And then with Clay, I think he wants to stay. He's got to come with terms. He's not who he was. He's still a great player, but he's not who he was before the injury. And that's got to be a tough thing for him to realize. So, they're out of it. Now, there is one other quick thing I want to talk about is I heard analysts and people talking all the time about, the Lakers, they need to position themselves. They need to lose so they can get in the 8th seed, so they can play Oklahoma City, as opposed to being in the 7th seed where they can play the Denver Nuggets, and lose because Denver's owned them last 8 games. Well, I look at it like this. Any team that tries to position themselves to avoid playing a certain team in the playoffs, they should have an asterisk by their team. Now, I know that kind of stuff is done on all levels, right? I get it on lower high school levels because you're dealing with kids. But on the pro level, nah. You're a professional. You paid to play. You don't feel like you can beat them, you got to figure it out. Because you got to play them. You got to play them. You can't hope that somebody else is going to beat them. So if somebody beats them because you avoid them and you win the championship, to me, that should be an asterisk, because you willingly didn't want to play the best. You can't, to me, okay, when you consider yourself a champion is when you've beat the best. Now, if you just end up playing everybody that's in front of you, then, and the team that you thought you was going to play, they happen to lose. Yeah, you can't avoid that. But if you are intentionally trying to avoid them, that's different, man. That's different. So I really think that teams shouldn't be doing that. And, to the Lakers' credit, they beat the Pelicans, so they're in the 7th seed, and they're going to play Denver. I think they have enough to beat Denver. It's just the way they play Denver. I think they have to change the way they play Denver. Denver's tough, but Denver's probably a little bit more vulnerable this year than they were last year. They have a lot of, people coming off the bench that probably aren't going to be in the pressure situations, because when you're the hunter, everything is great when you're the hunter, when you're hunting. But when you turn into the hunted, Denver's found that it wasn't as easy as to go this year. And to their credit, they still ended up being a 2 seed, but they look bad in some instances this year. So we'll see, what happens, how it shakes out. The playoffs are going to be great. I know I said that was the last thing, but the last thing was we had our pickleball clinic, and I was excited about it. We were only going to take 10. I think we had 7 that signed up. Some of them, wasn't able to come, but we had enough to where I got to take some pictures, a little video. I'm gonna be trying to post that and put it up. I was excited because these were people who were excited about learning something new and opportunity to play something new. And pickleball is the thing now. I mean, it's the thing that's sweeping. So I'm just glad that I'm a part of it and I get a chance to see it grow, and hopefully it grows with what I am where I'm with what I'm doing at my place. So it was nice. They had a really good time, and from my understanding, they're going to be back, and they're going to start playing pickup pickleball, not pickup basketball, but pickup pickleball. All right, so let me get into my basketball ideology. I'm going to start with evaluation. Now, I have a system in place where I actually evaluate clients. And here's what I mean. Whenever somebody comes into, my organization, new kid, I always evaluate them. And the reason for it is simple. I need to know where they're at. Sometimes I'll get people that are that come in and they'll tell me one thing where the kid is, and when I, evaluate them, I see that they're not. This gives me critical information, and then it helps me to make sure, okay, this kid's probably going to be in the best position with this trainer. Not saying that one trainer is better than the other, but, if I have, a certain type of player that might be a little bit shyer, I don't want to put them with one of my trainers that are used to, dealing with older kids that are a little bit more aggressive with those kids. That kid's not ready for that at that moment. So evaluation is extra key, because it allows me to try to put the kids in the best situation going forward, to where they're not just going to try that one training and be like, I don't like it. I don't like the trainer. I don't like the place. We have a very, very high success rate. If I was to do the numbers, I would say we're high 80s, maybe low 90s success rate of kids that come in from the first time that they do the training to staying at least, 2 to 3 months, unless there's something. And there are obviously things that come up. Hey, you know what? They're going to start their season. They come to us a little late. Or they're going to start another sport, or they join a team. So now the day that they're training doesn't work as well with their schedule. That's understandable. But just as far as they move on because they didn't like the training, I don't hear it. Now, look, I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, but I don't hear that as much. So, it's very important to make sure that we do the evaluation, so we can make sure that we're putting the clients in the best situation to learn and grow, because that is the most important thing. They have to be able to learn and grow. And if they're worried about things that they shouldn't be worried about, like, man, is this guy or this girl going to yell at me if I make a mistake? You know, how hard are they going to push me? Yeah, we're going to push you hard, but we have to make sure you know what you're doing as we push it. Like, you know, so the training, the eval training, when we first start out, I think is enormous. It is enormous. So that's why I wanted to bring that up, because, you know, I've had people say, well, why are we doing the evaluation training? Is it 5 minutes? No, it's a regular hour. And some people kind of like, well, why are we doing it? Why can't we just train? So then when I explain to them, they're like, oh, okay, I see it. And then when they actually do it, they're excited at the fact that they did it, because they need to know and understand that you're not just going to be here just bouncing a ball and shooting. You got to understand why you're doing that, what you're doing, you know, and all the things and components that come into it. And I need to see it so I can see, okay, yeah, you don't know how to do this. You think you know how to do this, but let me show you, you don't know how to do this. So let's show you how to do it the proper way. So that's why I do evaluations. And it's very important. And, you know, at one point I thought about not doing evaluations, just letting kids come in, but it messes up the whole flow and blueprint of, I feel, what's made us who we are today. So that's what I feel. Now, I am going to move my other two things on to our next time, because I got to get ready to get my guy in. Our guest today is going to be Billy Keys. He's a ex professional player, played at New Mexico State University, and he's going to be on with us shortly. So, my goodness, man, have me going through the woodwork. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
What's
Yeah,
good?
there we go.
What's
going
happening?
on?
Man, just you know, trying to do this podcast and see how everything works. How you doing?
I'm blessed, man. Just finished up with the fam. They got a break on homeschool and just enjoying the fam right now.
Yes, you as well. I am enjoying it. My youngest is the one that does all the digital content, so he's like typing and hold on, let me do this, let me do that, and I just get out the way.
Right. That's how you do that. Family affair.
Yes, sir. So, for those listening and actually watching, let me introduce Billy Keys, a former professional player, also played with NMSU, New Mexico State Aggies, and now he has his own training and scouting program called K2S Scouting, Keys to Success. Did I mess anything up, man?
Man, that's it. That sounds about right to me.
So look, first of all, I'm really happy that you decided to come on and chop it up. And I always try to tell people, chop it up now is different than when I was growing up. When I was growing up, chop it up meant you smoking a blunt and talking. But now apparently chop it up just means that you just talking. So we are chopping it up.
Yeah.
So
for sure, you're chopping it up.
So tell me about yourself, man.
Well, originally from Chicago, born and raised. I came out here in '98. Coach Henson recruited me to New Mexico State. Came out here. We had a successful little stint with New Mexico State. When I finished there, I ended up playing pro ball. 14 years overseas. I played all over the world in the top divisions, the Euro League. I played Greece, Spain, Italy, Israel. Actually played in Ukraine. So I've been well traveled. And then when I retired, I went right into high school coaching. I coached over at Centennial High School. We won a state championship my first year there. I was the assistant varsity coach. That parlayed into the head coaching job at Mayfield. I was there for about 4 years. Had 2 D1 players come out of that program. And then I went to the NAIA. I was the associate head coach after 4 years. I went to Northern New Mexico College. I coached there as the associate head coach for 3 years, probably really 2. It was a COVID year, so we suspended our season. But I got 3 years in total, 2 years there. And then after that, I was on New Mexico State. That was the video coordinator last year at New Mexico State. And so now, right now, I'm doing my scouting service. I do a lot of training. I've always been around the game and train kids and try to give back to the game. I used to say basketball saved my life, but I changed that a little bit. I say God put basketball in my life, and it saved my life. And basketball kept me out of trouble in Chicago back in the 80s and 90s. But so I use that vehicle to mentor young men, and just try to give back to the youth through the game of basketball.
Right, right. Now, you know you big time. That's what I call you, big time. But I know you big time when you got a Wikipedia page. And I was actually on there because I was, trying to make sure I had my I's dotted and T's crossed. It still says that you're still coaching at Northern. I was like,
yeah. I don't know who runs those things. I don't know how to. I don't know who created it. It just happens. So that's fine.
Because I'm sitting there saying to myself, well, see, he big time. He must have a helicopter that flies him from Las Cruces up to Northern on the weekends or something. you got that Kobe lifestyle. So, hey, let me ask you a question before we get into the scouting. Let me ask you a question about overseas playing. So, how hard is it to play at the high level overseas?
Oh man, it's extremely hard. It was funny when I first retired, and I know a lot of guys that play college ball. Of course, basketball really small, as we know,
right?
And a lot of guys, would come to me and say, "Can you help me get overseas? Can you help me get over there?" And for the most part, the guys was talented enough to play, but they don't understand, man. It's first of all, you're in a different country,
right?
Right, and the expectations. You've been an American. The expectations are extremely high.
Right.
And when you when you lose basketball games, it's always the American. It's always the American because the local players, they're there. They're not going anywhere. That's their hometown. That's their country. So it's easier to change the American player, right? So anytime you lose a game, and you can even be winning, and they can feel like, okay, we could be better. If you could be winning but not performing well,
right?
And they'll think, look, you know what, we're winning. Let's see if we have more production out of our American spot, we might can win the championship. So they'll get rid of you just off of that. And it's really not a player. So like FIBA governs everything, but in all actuality, they don't really, govern as hard as they should.
Right.
So it's a lot of motion, a lot of changing. So many players, Americans want those jobs over there. So it's very cutthroat. But overall, for me to get 14 years, I'm blessed.
Yeah.
And I was able to see the country. I played in Gran Canaria, Spain, right next to Africa, right off the coast of Africa. I was there for 6 months, top division in Spain. It felt like a paid vacation, on the beach after practice every day, take a nap, practice at night. And it really felt like, to play basketball and to see the world, it was really a blessing. But it's extremely hard to not only get over there, but to actually keep your job and to keep your position and to put up with the hard coaches, the yelling, the cursing, the coaches. And it's a lot of practice, 2 a days. Man, it's a grind.
It's a grind. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the reason I ask that is because, listeners tend to think that, well, players who are playing overseas, they must not have been good enough to play in the NBA. It's easy to play in. I know quite a bit of guys who played who say the same thing that you're saying. And what I try to tell those people who talk like that is, well, obviously you've never played at a high level, because if it was that easy, everybody would be overseas playing. But there are so many players that were top players in college that once their season is over, their college career is over, you don't see them anymore. So they must have not been as good, or they didn't have what the others had to be able to get them over there. And maybe they went for one season, realized it was tougher than what they thought. Man, 14 years is a grip. You know what I'm saying?
Man. Yeah, it is, man. I tell you, not to cut you off, but just thinking about what you're saying, it's very competitive over there. when I was over there, I played against a young Ricky Rubio. I played against a young Luis Scola,
Mm-hmm.
Tiago Splitter. So it's a lot of talent in Europe. A lot of those guys over there can really play basketball. A lot of those top European guys turn down NBA deals because
Right.
they're a star in their own country,
Right.
making millions of dollars.
Right.
So that's another thing you have to look at. And I was thinking about this guy, and we're a little older than probably the audience. I don't know the age group, but it's after the Fab Five, Michigan had another group came in with Sweet Louis Bullock,
Mm-hmm.
Tractor Trailer, and all
Right.
those guys, right?
Right.
So when I went over to Spain, I was playing in Spain. I played against Louis Bullock.
Okay.
Louis Bullock was in Spain. A lot of people probably thought, well, he was good at Michigan. He didn't go to the NBA. And Louis Bullock was in Spain making $3-4 million a year. After the game, I come outside. He has a red Ferrari outside of the stadium, and I'm like, wow. He played over there maybe 15 years at 2-3 million euro a year, which is stronger than a dollar.
Yeah.
So he's probably here in America, just have investments and have a great life. And everyone is like, what happened? He fell off. And so many stories like that,
Right.
where guys, the top guys, they go over there and they like, you know what? I don't want to go make the NBA minimum, which is 400,000, and after taxes is 200,000.
Right.
I'd rather stay in Europe and get $1 million. Now we're talking about the top guys,
right?
We're talking about the top guys. They can get $1 million untaxed with home and car paid for. So it's like, in some cases, it was a win-win. For me, I got to around 26. I had my second son, and I got tired of chasing the NBA, and I decided, I wasn't up there at the 2-3 million, but I made great money, and I wanted to provide for my family. So that's when I decided to continue to stay over there and get that guaranteed money. So it's a lot of different ways you can look at it.
Right. So before last question, this is a quick question. What was your favorite spot that you played in? You played for quite a few different countries. Which one did you enjoy the most?
Man, that's I talked about Gran Canaria, Spain. I probably enjoyed that island the most out of all the places. I mean, they paid on time. They paid me great money. I wanted to continue my career there. The most success that I had was in Greece, in Athens. I was on the team Marousi. We made the top 16 of EuroLeague that year, the top 16 EuroLeague team. And but the team, the basketball was so much fun, but the team, it was during the recession. The team was struggling financially, and that was the only thing about that year.
Right.
But if I could sum it up, I was young. I was in Israel, Tel Aviv. I played for Hapoel Tel Aviv, beautiful country. But if I could sum it all up and pinpoint like one place with everything off the court, on the court, I would have to say Gran Canaria, Spain.
Nice.
And then Greece, Athens, Greece. I was there 5 years. That's like my second home. They run their basketball league similar to the NBA. Like I probably can still go there and do camps, and kids would still remember me. So I would say Gran Canaria and then Athens, Greece.
Nice. Okay, yeah. So let's shift on over to you getting back home. Tell us what was the reasoning behind starting K2S. K2 Scouting.
K2S Scouting.
K2S Scouting.
Keys to Success. Keys, the number 2 success. I call it K2S Scouting. It's the website, K2S.com. Twitter, Keys to Success. Keys to Succeed at 2023. I wanted to do something. I wanted to stay around the game. I wanted to help this area. You see so much talent. And right now, our area is probably, I say our area because El Paso, Las Cruces, the Southwest, we're all pretty much the same area.
Right.
And you can see the success that Tristan has. Tristan's older brother, Jawan Newton. Tristan Newton, who just won the UConn championship. Everyone, Now everyone's talking about this area. KJ Lewis came out of this area. I remember him as a young pup coming to our showcase. And it's a lot of untapped talent. The kid at Chapin, Brandon, who just went to a JUCO. So I feel like that this area is overlooked,
Right.
especially the top talent. And I wanted to help. I know you want to help. I know I want to help bring more exposure to this area because the top guys in this area can really help and play some college basketball.
Exactly.
But the Tristan is the I bring up Tristan because he's hot right now and that's the biggest story. But I know his dad really well. I can't tell you how many phone calls I put in to college coaches about Tristan, and I'm sure you have too. And it's just like I don't know why um, the talent here is overlooked. And I'm not saying it's a hot, yes, we've got a lot of smaller players, and but we have scrappy players. We may not have 7 footers everywhere, but we have well coached players. I think the high school coaches in this area do a great job because they have to coach harder. It's harder to coach when you don't have talent.
Right.
But when you do have talent and you have the good coaches in this area, a lot of these kids can play, and you'll start seeing more kids from this area. I think Las Cruces had 5 to 6 D1 players active right now. And it's going to continue. I think New Mexico and El Paso, I just want to keep helping any way I can to get these kids into college and get them basketball scholarships through the game of basketball, get their college degrees through the game of basketball. And that's all. It's genuinely just to help. And if I was able to do it, I didn't have anyone to lean on when I went through it. So I say maybe I could be that person to lean on for these guys in this area that can really play at that level if I can mentor and help. So that's all it's about. It's the kids, man.
Right, right, right. Yeah, and speaking because I know we talk to different scouts and coaches and stuff, and the reality, the thing that I've heard the most is that they don't respect this area. So like with KJ, what we tried to do with Tristan was to get him into some different types of showcases where he could play against other talent in other areas because they don't respect this area. We were fortunate to where I know, KJ's mom and everything, and sending them to what you guys did with you and Chad at that first showcase. So you guys get eyes on him and you could see what I already knew and like, yo, he can play. Now getting him out and he goes to play in the Pangos, and now they could see that he can play. Now it's like, well, what he does in El Paso doesn't matter as much because they've seen him do it on the higher level. So on against, better competition. So that has kind of been the pathway that I've tried to do with high level kids. Not everybody's going to be able to take that path. Not everybody has the talent that those two kids had. But if I could have been able to get Tristan to do that or have that knowledge when Tristan was a freshman, we could have got him at UConn for 4 years per se. Now, you always know about the other angle with Kamani Jones Young because he played here at UTEP, so the little tie-in and stuff. But like what you said, it is important because the kids here can play. So now it's just about, okay, now we kind of understand the blueprint, kind of knowing what we need to do with them. Now let's try to make sure we get these top kids that we know can play a high-level Division I seen early enough to where people are going to, because now people are listening to what we say now. That's
yes,
people are listening a little bit more to what we say. It's like, damn, you know what? They were 2 for 2. Now let's pay a little bit more attention to this area because there are some kids that can play. There are kids that can play on all levels, right? But definitely, we definitely have some out here in this area. So okay, so let's talk about your business, man.
Yeah, man. So K2S Scout, like I said, scouting service. I really right now in the summer, I'm trying to bring really focus on the club ball, the tournament aspect of it. And a big thing is, see, I used to coach AAU basketball. I used to coach with the Danny Granger Elites,
Ooh.
and we used to take the top New Mexico talent and we travel all over to Dallas and we go to Vegas. And I say, you know what, man, we need something in this area because one, it's not as expensive out here. We go to Vegas, we go to these places, and of course, it's Vegas, it's the bigger cities. They're going to cost more, and it's going to be an expense to travel to those cities. So my idea with the tournament is to try to try to get this to be a hot spot for a location on the circuit. It's small now. It's starting. I'm trying to gain steam with that. But my resources with college coaches and being coaching at the college ranks, I think that, and now with the talent, now that they're seeing that there is untapped talent here, and I'll continue, like even from Las Cruces. I know we talked about El Paso a lot, but I'm gonna talk about Las Cruces. I did the showcase with Chad back during COVID, and I also did a top 100 at New Mexico State when I was video coordinator. I was tasked to run that camp, and we had Daniel Jacobson, who just signed at Purdue, who was at La Cueva from up north in my showcase. We had Tainui Taroa. He's a freshman 6'7" point guard at Southern Utah right now. We had Caleb Carr, who's 6'10", went to Central Arkansas out of Las Cruces.
Right.
We had Marcus Washington. He's at Washington State out of New Mexico, Albuquerque. We had Dylan Chavez, who just signed in New Mexico. And I'm missing, probably 8 to 12 kids. We had some D2 kids. We had Donovan Black, who played in UTEP. He's a Las Cruces kid, but went to Del Valle his senior year. He's at Western New Mexico. I can go on and on. Duma Sanchez out of Albuquerque. He walked on at New Mexico. Could have went D2, but he decided to stay home. He walked on with the Lobos. There is talent here in this area, man. And I'm talking about 6'10". This
right.
Caleb Carr is 6'10". So, yeah, I want to help. There's some kids coming up. Like a kid, Benjamin Walton, I trained, 6'3" point guard. The kid, Yanai Wilson, who just was at Oregon Mountain, can play Division II basketball easily. JUCO. It's so much talent in New Mexico and in El Paso, in this region. And I just, I want to be a voice along with you and these guys. And we work together, which I love, to really help the kids get the exposure and get to the right event. Not just any event, but the right event. And really put that call into my coaching buddies in college. Like, look, go to this court right here. Even if I'm not involved, okay, they in Dallas or they're in Phoenix at Chad's area code. Okay, go over there. They at the Easter tournament with Chad, and I have a kid over there. Go check them out. If it's open period, and they'll be there. So that's my vision for the Keys to Success Scouting Service and the tournaments, and then I do individual training, and that's just the part to get my coaching in and to teach the game.
Right.
My coaching part that I want. So that's the overall basis of it. It's just to get exposure for the kids.
Yeah. And you are doing a great job, man. I love the name dropping out there. You dropped name for I was timing. It was like 2 minutes a day dropping with all those kids. Well, I think it's important that, I don't know if you have to continue to talk to NMSU about that top 100 camp you did. If you don't have to talk to them and you can keep doing it, you need to do it again. You need to make it a yearly thing because like when I started, it was, I call it Prospect X, and I had a lot of the big kids here. The biggest kid I had that I ended up with was Kobe Williams, who he was out of Dallas. He ended up playing at La Tech, and then he just transferred to Tulsa. But at the time that I had him, and I was telling Chad about him, and he went to one of those big tournaments. He played with Dallas Showtime on the circuit, and he had quite a few Division I schools trying to get him, but I think he really felt La Tech's coach, and that's where he went. So I know that the Prospect X showcase was working, But then, there were other things. I felt like I was wanting it more than what the city wanted and the coaches at that time. So I just took a pause on it. But I know that we have to have those type of things here. So I suggest you really keep that in the pot because we can grow it. It can be grown to where it's a big time spot to get, kids looked at.
For sure, definitely. I have one on my calendar for August, right before school starts. Well, school starts here in July, but right before the overall school, right in August, and that's normally a good time to do it. So I do have that on my calendar, and I will be pushing that, man. So
Yeah,
I'm excited for it. I should have my calendar posted to send it to you. I think you have it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I do have a showcase top 100. I think it's around August 16th, 14th, somewhere in that area.
Okay,
But
okay.
I'll be posting it here soon.
Okay. Well, I will make sure that my brilliant son attaches that calendar to this episode somewhere so people can actually see it and know what you're up to and about. I'm gonna go ahead and end because this was gonna be a shorter segment. So I didn't want to take too much of your time. Now we're gonna definitely have to do it again, and then
For sure.
next time I do it, it'll either be you coming over here or I'll come out to your place. If I come out to your place, I'll probably have to bring the wife because she wants to go to Dion's. So,
For
but
sure,
yeah,
definitely.
so we can sit in and talk even more in depth about specific things because there's a lot of stuff that I talk about on my podcast, and I'm always wanting to have different views and different sides of things because I don't ever want to make it seem like I know everything and I'm talking about. So I definitely want to have you in again. And before we end, I want you to plug, how people can find you and follow you on all social medias one more time.
Yeah, so I appreciate it, man. And yeah, you can find me on Facebook. I'm at Keys to Success. That's KEYS, the number two success. On Facebook, you can find me on Twitter. Keys it's Keys to Success, SUCCE 2023. It's Keys to Succeed 2023 on Twitter. And those are the two platforms that I'm on the most. I haven't started my IG back up. That'll be coming soon. And also my website is K2S scouting.com. That's K, the number two S, scouting.com. And you can see what I'm doing on all those social media platforms and website. Man, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. You always support all the events that I've done thus far, and really being just a great person to lean on. You've been in this space for a while,
Right.
and I just want to tell you personally, I appreciate you having an open line to any question I need or any direction or anything that I can, as far as advice. I know I can always call you, and you always, man, is open in returning the call, and you're always giving me some sound advice, man. So I just wanted to appreciate you at Street Cred, um, and thanks, man, for having me on your platform.
Okay. Yeah, no, I appreciate the love. Tournaments that you have. Plug your tournaments in. You got a couple
Oh
coming up
yeah,
as well.
yeah. I got Memorial Day coming up. The Memorial Day tournament is here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I have it at Mirashite right now, but I'm looking for more locations. I'm trying to get all the teams into the area to come through. I have probably about 15 to 20 teams that's slated to come. I know it's a big one up north, but I'm wanting to grab all the other teams that can't make it up there. And then on Independence Day, I have my Independence Day tournament. That's going to be June 30th, July 2nd, that weekend, 3-day event. Um, that one right now is looking as maybe at Centennial High School again, maybe on Yate. Um, I already have probably about 15 to 20 teams committed to that one. And also, the biggest one that I'm really excited about is my Labor Day tournament. I had it last year at Mayfield High School. We had over 30 teams in that one, and that's a varsity. All these tournaments are um, 12, 14, 16, 18U, boys and girls, all of these tournaments. So I'm really excited, man, about, just trying to bring the exposure here. And I also have a fall bash that I'm looking to do in October. And that one is during the open period. So I'm really pushing a lot of my college coaches buddies, a lot of my college coaching friends from throughout New Mexico, but throughout the country to come attend that one and really get their eyes on talent in this region. So I'm excited, man. Hopefully, you guys can follow my platform and see all of my tournaments that I'm got coming up. But I'm really excited about this area and the talent that's coming up in this area and really trying to get these guys some exposure.
All right. Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to hop on podcast. This will not be the last time, whether it's video or audio. Don't worry about that. It's not going to be where it's like, man, he told me he was going to get me back. It's been like 12 years. So, I'm going to get you back on real soon where we can definitely have more time to talk. But I appreciate you carving out a few minutes for me. So I'm gonna end the show like I always end, and that is, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. I'm out.
Mm-hmm. All right, King.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, take care.
Later.
Street cred sports, say it with your chest. Yeah. Go get it from the net. Street cred sports, okay, that's a bet.